Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Hello, you're welcome to today's edition of Money Radio on Leadership Podcast. Money Radio is our program that brings you the latest developments in Nigeria's business and economy cycles and issues of businesses around the world. My name is Innocent Odu, and today we have come again with a very bumper edition of the program, and we are talking about leveraging diaspora investments to build indigenous technology in Nigeria. It's quite instructive that sometime last week, the Nigerian Diaspora Investment Summit once again held in Abuja, where the array of stars from all parts of the world, Nigerians from all parts of the world, gathered in Abuja for the conference. And in that conference, so many areas of development were discussed in line with how the government will outline its programs and policies to drive investment using the diaspora expertise. It is also interesting to know that the Nigerians have excelled in different areas of life, and they are trying to bring that expertise and experience, the technical competencies that they have acquired all over the world, especially in the area of technology. You talk about ICT, you talk about smart agriculture, you talk about industrialization in different sectors, biochemistry, industrial technology, and so on and so forth. So the area is indeed rich with Nigerians displaying their competence. And so on today's program, we're looking at how we're going to leverage that opportunity that has been presented by the Nigerians in the diaspora to build the much needed indigenous technology. At no time in the history of Nigeria do Nigerians actually require to harness this important resource from abroad than now, because several areas of Nigeria's life are, in fact, yearning for development, and it is now that the real investment is required to build the capacity to develop Nigeria. And so we are trying to today say, okay, now the diasporans, Nigerians in diaspora have gathered once again in their annual, if you like, ritual of doing summits in Abuja and sometimes in all parts of the world. I might also interested to know that this year's edition had been there's a significant change in this year's edition where the investment is being opened across to states. And so Ondo State happens to be the focus of this year's investment drive. And so we are looking at what opportunities we have at the grassroots. And so Ondo has come to focus. But apart from that, the Nigerians in the diaspora are also asking the government to put in place mechanisms, programs, systems, and policies that will indeed transform these talents that we have abroad, that will indeed change the fortunes of the country by using the efforts of Nigerians. And of course, they are so willing to participate in every aspect of Nigeria's industrialization process, open to the diasporans. And Nigerians also said, according to what we heard there, the pulse of the Nigerians in the diaspora, it is now time to ensure that every part of Nigeria, every resource that we have in Nigeria, both human and material, is transformed into something tangible to move the nation forward. It is good enough that Nigeria is also blessed with human and material resources that will, in fact, enable Nigeria to move to the next stage of industrialization. Talk about the fourth industrial revolution and some of the deficits that are serving as encumbrances on the way of Nigerians. The diasporans are full of expertise. The diasporans are full of experience. The diasporans are full of technical competencies that can change the fortunes of Nigeria and make it the indigenous, the technological hub of not just West Africa, but other parts of the world, in order to also help us to get products out there for the world to buy, and so that we can get a foreign exchange to build our economy and make our citizens happy. So now the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, led by Honorable Abike Dabri Erewa, is the arrowhead of this charge to take Nigeria to the next level using the diaspora energy. And so what do we have? What does it take to build a community, to build a society that will leverage on the technology of its people outside of its shores to be able to build the capacity that is needed in all the sectors of the economy to make it a progressive and prosperous society just like others? Now, we take a cue from other countries that have also made a great effort to exploit the potential of their own diaspora. Like Israel, for instance. Israel leveraged on the capacities of the diaspora and the people in diaspora to build a country that is so envious, that is the envy of the whole world today. Israel is so good in smart agriculture. Israel is so good in the industrial chemistry. Israel is so good in technology of ICT level. At ICT level, Israel is so good in the terms of animal husbandry, that is deploying technology to build animal husbandry. Right now in Nigeria, we're still grappling with the issue of farmers, herders, clashes as a result of the old method of doing things. Now the diasporans that some of us were able to encounter at that summit actually have what it takes to change the fortunes in terms of animal husbandry by deploying technology that can bring out better yields, that can bring out better animals, and if also expand the basis of that sector, and in fact make it even more progressive. You talk about climate smart agriculture, Nigerians are there. So there's virtually no aspect of a human endeavor where you will not find Nigerians excelling in high quality there. But then our program today is to interrogate the ecosystem that will enable indigenous technology to thrive and bring forth the desired result of the country. And so we begin by asking ourselves, what does it take to build an ecosystem? What does it take to ensure that we sustain the effort? What again does it take to ensure that the energies of these our people in the diaspora are not just wasted? And what does it take to ensure that it does not just end in conferences and summits and workshops and so on and so forth, but then that it translates into something concrete, into something productive, into something that can help the economy at this point in time? You will agree with me that once you go outside the country, you discover that there are so many products from all parts of the world, but of which one can we boast of being a Nigerian product? Now, sometimes ago, I traveled on a personal experience now. I traveled to a country called Singapore. And in that country, we visited a shop where so many things are displayed from different countries of the world. I'm afraid I tried to find what the country Nigeria has to offer in that particular shop. I didn't get any from Nigeria. And there are some other little products from some African countries that actually inspired confidence in some of us who are Africans, but on specific levels, very disappointed that we couldn't find anything from Nigeria. But then what is holding Nigeria? What has hobbled the giants of Africa from taking its place in the community of nations? Now, Nigeria is said to be the giant of Africa, giant in the African continent, yes. Then there are other giants all over the world who represent subcontinents around the world. Like in India, you may say India is the giant of Asia. China, of course, the giant of Asia. Now, these two nations are doing great when it comes to industrial technology, when it comes to climate smart technology, when it comes to ICT, when it comes to military technology, when it comes to just them all kinds of technology, you will find India and China excelling in all of that. That is about the Asian giants. Then you come to the South American giants, Brazil. Brazil manufactures all sorts of things, like including their own military aircraft, military tanks, weapons, and rocket-propelled grenades, all indigenously built. So you can see a country being self-sufficient in terms of its military technology. So it is actually well secured because it can build its own capacity and maintain its own missiles using its own technology, guided missiles. So this is what technology does for a nation. Brazil also now sells weapons to other parts of the world and get foreign exchange. So they also make big, high capacity buses, that we use in Nigeria. Some of them are made in Brazil. Some are made in China. And so what do we now have to do as a country to be able to ensure that we leverage this opportunity? Because this is not the first time the diasporas have met. This is about the fifth. This year's edition is the fifth Nigerian Diaspora Investment Summit. So this is the fifth time they have met. But what is the product of meeting all the time? What have we achieved in terms of the tangible impact that these meetings have made? Well, good thing that the Nigerians in the Diaspora Commission, led by Abike Rewa, is committed, and of course has showed some level of determination to ensure that this year's edition is also harnessed into something concrete. And that is why they are driving it down to Ondo State. a state that is so great when it comes to natural resources. Let us also remind ourselves that Ondo State is one of those states that are so good in the production of cocoa. And so the idea this time around is to ensure that the production of cocoa is not just producing cocoa to sell as cash crops in the international market, but also to ensure that there are processing plants that are being that should be set up in Ondo State to process cocoa into finished goods that will add more value to the state and, of course, the nation in general. So there's a process, there's a movement, there's a drive towards that, achievement. But I do not know how long it will take. But I know that the movement has started. One step has been taken, and a great step at that. And on those states are opening their opportunities. According to the governor of the state, Akeredolu, Arotimi Akeredolu, more investors are coming to the state. Now, there's another state that has to do with that has a lot of mineral resources, which is Kogi State. Some time ago, the governor of Kogi State met with some Chinese entrepreneurs to deploy technology to explore the resources in Kogi State. Well, these are some of the major movements that should be make towards changing the fortunes of Nigeria using indigenous technology and, of course, going to the grassroots. We understand, according to the records from the Kogi State government, that the Kogi State economy is actually about 591 billion naira. So there's a target of 591 billion IGR. The Kogi State is actually looking at once it puts all these things together using indigenous technology and also driving the investment process through that. And many other states in Nigeria would, in fact, enjoy the benefits of opening up their economy, investing and attracting investment from Nigerians in the diaspora in collaboration with other investment-minded individuals and companies in the country to explore this large number of resources that we have here. And of course, to build that capacity, build the culture of science and technology and innovation in the country, which of course have been the bedrock of every government's development in the country. Nigeria's Science, Technology and Innovation Ministry, I think they're also taking a cue in that direction, moving this country forward. They also have a science, technology and innovation blueprint for the country that will change everything. But we, as analysts, we as movers of this kind of policies, we want to know how, where, when, and how can we, in fact, begin to do this work and make it a concrete effort to be able to produce the result that we deserve. Now, another issue is this. For technology to take root in a society, there must be a thorough and well-guided investment in research and development. Now, this is where the challenge has been. Where has Nigeria been in terms of research, in terms of investment in the research efforts to change the fortunes of the country in all kinds of ways to bring about this technological advancement that we're all looking for? So, another challenge is this. So, how much do we invest, for instance, in research and development? Virtually nothing in research. And this is one of the most component parts of technology, science, technology, and innovation in the country. It might also interest you to know that the African Union some time ago actually set a standard for itself that for us to meet, or for the continent to meet the basic needs of its technological advancement, the country has to at least devote about 2% of its GDP, annual GDP, to science, technology, and innovation, especially the component of research and innovation. Now, how many countries have devoted even 1% of their GDP to research and development? I can count within my finger virtually none of them. Nigeria just improved in the rating by actually making 0.5% GDP available for research and innovation. Now, this is by Nigeria standard, that is an improvement. But then it falls short of the standards set by African governments, African nations. So where are we in this particular component? Research is not easy. Research is investment driven. Research is expensive. And the research is also guided. Research is also designed to ensure that the targeted specific goals, to ensure that all the things that are invested in the research are not wasted. And research has to be good. When I say goal-oriented, I mean it has to serve the specific needs of the people at specific times. And so the circumstances of the modern time demand that Nigeria should stand up and invest. Talk about extra budgetary allocation to research and innovation. I think that is what the next government should do. Today in the country, we talk about leaders are trying to emerge to lead Nigeria into the next dispensation. And some of the leaders, I don't know whether they have answered enough questions on the issue of science, technology, and innovation. Because if they have not answered those questions, it is the duty of journalists, the duty of analysts, the duty of all people around Nigeria to throw these questions at them. Let them formulate their policies, let them formulate their manifestos around technology. But that is the only thing that can change the fortunes of a nation overnight. But it is not going to be an overnight success story because research is not going to be easy. Research is investment driven. A lot of funding is required in research. I understand that a great effort is being made by the government and other spirited individuals in the country to put these things together, to get funding together from the United Nations, from great nations like the UK, like US, Japan, Germany, and all the rest of them. Yes, these efforts can be made together, in terms of pulling resources together and getting things done. So, but what does it take for Nigeria on its own part to chart a new way of trying to invest in research and development? 0.5% GDP to research and development is definitely not enough. It might be an improvement from previous years, but definitely it's not enough. Now, Nigeria is said to have about $500 billion GDP, all right? Now, out of the, if we say 0.5% of Nigeria, $503 billion GDP, might just be about $2.5 billion. Yes. So how do we source $2.5 billion and make sure that we do not suffer the deficits? Because it is the deficit that we suffer in the country that is the drawback to all the ambitions that we have expressed in Nigeria. It is not about sitting down in cozy offices and make pronouncements about the investment in science, technology, and innovation. No, it's all about bringing resources, bringing people heads together, thinking through these processes, making specific targets, and trying to do investment targeted at those goals. Those are the ways these countries of the world who have succeeded. You talk about Japan. Now, Japan, after the Meiji Restoration in 1867, saw the need to invest in human capital, saw the need to invest in science, technology, and innovation. Now, the country's leaders, both the military leaders, political leaders of the country, were in agreement that the reason Japan had to succumb to Western imperialist interests, especially the British invasion of Japan, led by Matthew C. Perry that time, was because the British imperialists had superior weapons, had superior materials made out of the science, technology, and innovation. So it behoves on the Japan as a nation to harness its own resources together to build that capacity so that it will maintain its place in the annals of human history. And so Japan went to work. They opened up their space, learn from the British what they're supposed to learn from others what they're supposed to learn, then of course energize themselves locally to build that capacity. And today Japan is one of the world's technological giants. Japan, they just started in 1867, not quite, if you ask me, not too long ago, but look at how far they have come. Japan is now the technology hub of the world. The same for China. China used to be very backward, but in the late 70s, especially in 1978, when they had a visionary leader called Deng Xiaoping. Deng Xiaoping opened up his country to technology. He invited investment from all parts of the world, including loans that were used to boost the capacity of their technology, to sending their students to all parts of the world to learn science, technology, and innovation. Today, China is benefiting immensely from that effort and investment that has made in its people by building their capacity. So all the nations of the world that have so developed have actually made research and development, research and innovation, the bedrock of their technology. Therefore, the question is, where are we here? Where are we in Nigeria? Where do we go from here? Is it to just come after every year, we'll do the rituals of Diaspora Summit, and then we'll go home? And then, of course, the area of trying to extend development to the grassroots is very important, is needed. But then, there are so much that has to be done in order to change the fortunes of the country and make it better technologically. Because we as Africans, we as Nigerians, there is no way we will grow without technology. There is no way we will change our fortune without technology. We must do that, and it is time for us to do so. So it's on that note that we'll come to the end of today's edition of Money Radio on Leadership Podcast. And we promise to bring you a bumper edition when next will come. Thank you and remain blessed.